Okay.
Oh, it talks.
Ooh, you did it. All right, there we go. I see the button.
All right, so I had there's a few questions like planned out. It doesn't have to be too many, but I
Okay,
guess first, would you like to like introduce yourself and like what you do?
sure. Well, my name is Niku, and I am the executive director of Real Choices Women's Centers here in Reno and Fernley, Nevada. And our centers, everything we do is free, completely confidential, no insurance required. We serve men and women in the Northern Nevada area with unplanned pregnancies, crisis pregnancies, as well as a myriad of other health services, just to really just take care of women and their reproductive health needs. So we specifically focus on free pregnancy testing, limited ultrasounds, parenting classes, material support, fatherhood support, post-abortion recovery, post-adoption recovery for birth moms, as well as birth classes, lactation consulting, oh my goodness, just so many things in the community. So we just want to equip and resource women no matter what path they take, whether it's parenting, abortion, or adoption, to be their healthiest selves and to know that they're supported and loved. We want to see healing in broken places and empowerment across the board. So that's what we do at our centers.
Nice. And that pretty much takes care of like the first two questions, what y'all's missions and what kind of services you offer. And you
Yeah.
said that you don't charge for your services. And why is that?
We do not believe that it's right to profit off of someone's reproductive crisis. So we really believe in providing evidence-based information. Everything we share in our client rooms is based in evidence, in science, in real medical science. We never aim to overwhelm or scare the woman. We always are there to empower her respectfully. We ask her, how much do you want to know about what's going on with your body right now? And then with that, they sort of direct the conversation. But typically, they want to know happening. They want to, when we do an ultrasound, they want to see what's on the ultrasound. They don't want to be shielded from that like they are at some other places. They want to know what's happening in their body. And once they understand that the changes in their body and the baby growing inside of them is developing very rapidly, they start to make decisions more in favor of keeping that child, whether that's for themselves to parent or whether they're going to place that child for adoption. They begin to humanize and personalize the individual inside of them as separate and different from themselves, and form a connection to them. What we also do is these women often come in so hopeless and helpless, so under supported. And so we don't charge because we want to show them there are so many free resources in this area and people that want to help them when their situation feels overwhelming. So for us, we are here to educate and empower and equip and help and offer hope. And we don't need to charge for any of that. With that said, we also don't charge because we don't do any like true medical procedures. We don't prescribe medication, although we are overseen by our medical director, who is a board certified OBGYN here in town. He works at one of the big practices. And all the clinical staff we have are certified as well. So we have certified sonographers, certified nurse practitioners here, administering things like the ultrasound care.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
So then just another quick thing. I have a document here. Oh, is there a feature to share a screen on this?
maybe.
Oh, that one says share screen. Uh, yes. Oh, it's making me press a button. Never mind. I'll just read what's on the thing.
That's okay.
All right. So this is a document that is published by Planned Parenthood, and it is a attack document, I guess, against crisis pregnancy centers as a whole. So I just want to
Right.
like, go through what they're saying on here and like hear what you have to say
Sure.
about that. So one of their first things they say is crisis pregnancy centers have no oversight. Financial oversight of taxpayer-funded pregnancy resource centers is severely lacking in some states. No one has any idea where the money given to these centers is going or how it is being spent.
Right. Well, I will say, first of all, we are a nonprofit organization, so there's no tax money or government money exchanged. We do not take any kind of government funds. We're all private donations from individuals, organizations, foundations. So I can respond that way. We are governed by a board of directors that watches very carefully what we do financially. And then as well, like I said, we are not here to profit off of anyone's decision. So it would make sense that an organization that is for profit and takes women's unfortunate situations and wants to monetize those. Planned Parenthood charges, several $100s for their exams, abortion pills, proof of pregnancy paperwork. We do these proof of pregnancy appointments all the time. They are free. Women need proof of pregnancy paperwork. We do them free. And then, we know when women are better educated, they make different choices for life. Usually 8 out of 10 women, when they see an ultrasound of their baby inside of them, choose life. And again, that may not mean they choose parenting, they may choose adoption, but they choose life. And so it would make sense that Planned Parenthood would come after an organization like us, because we take away from their bottom line pretty heavily. Any one appointment that chooses life on our side, because they get the actual facts about what's happening in their body, their baby's development, the actual procedures and things they are going to be going through should they proceed with an abortion. That puts Planned Parenthood in jeopardy, and organizations like that in jeopardy, that prey off of and profit off of a woman's decision to have a chemical or surgical abortion.
Cool. Debunked. All right. The second point they have on this page is that there is no honesty. CPCs deliberately lie about the medical effects of abortions and about how far women are into their pregnancy, so they think they have more time to decide about abortion than they actually do.
Women do, in fact, have quite a bit of time to decide for their abortion. So with the chemical abortion pills, you have up to 70 days past your last menstrual period. And I think deciding to become a parent or not, give birth or not, is not a decision that should be rushed. It is a life-changing decision emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So to take your time, you bet, we ask them, we try to get them to slow down and get all the information they need so that they can make an educated choice. We don't lie about anything. Everything is evidence-based. No one can refute when egg meets sperm, what is created every single time.
Mm-hmm.
A zebra, a hot dog, I don't know. No, a human life. A human life is created. When that life has value, that is what is up for grabs. When that life is its own independent being, now science, it is by the nature of DNA that when egg meets sperm, everything about that individual is decided. Your hair color, your eye color, your gender, everything about it is decided in one split second. So,
Right.
We believe that is actually an independent being separate from the mother. So that individual human has some rights too, even though they are dependent on the mom in that certain scenario. They will be dependent for a long time. I have 6 and 7-year-old boys. They are still very dependent
Yeah.
on me for their survival. And that is, I don't feel like I have the right to knock them off because, they're dependent on me, and they're not independent human beings yet. If we were talking about killing 18-month-old babies, 24-month-old babies, young children, we're talking infanticide, the discussion would be completely different. So there's a lot of things that are up for debate. They're not lies, they're differences of opinion, but they're not differences of science. Science says eggs meet sperm, human life comes to be.
Exactly.
That is an independent life separate from the mother. When that life has value, when that life has a reason to live and a right to live, that's what's up for grabs. That's what people are disagreeing on just intensely, whether it's in churches, schools, hospitals, universities, or this even up to the state government.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. That one's debunked too. All right. We have 3 more here. The third one is that there's no choices. They advise women who have been sexually assaulted not to use emergency contraception. Beyond this, they won't suggest any women to use contraception for health issues or to prevent pregnancy.
Here's the thing. We are never going to sell you false hope. If I had a dollar for every woman I sat across from that said she was on some form of contraception when she got pregnant, I'd be a really rich woman. Thank goodness I work for a nonprofit and I can't actually collect payment. Like, you're going to give me $100 if you tell me that you are on contraception. Contraception is not foolproof. So we are never going to tell you or sell you or give you something that does not work and has a failure rate when it comes to human life. The only surefire way not to get pregnant is not to have sex. We want
Right.
you to be having sex and enjoying it in, a monogamous committed relationship. Absolutely. But I'm not going to sell you false hope that contraception is going to help you. As far as emergency contraception, our particular center, we also do not provide that, again, because we believe life begins at conception. So by that point, by our values and our beliefs, that life, it's already created and it has a purpose and a plan. Even if you can't see it, that individual inside you might change your life. And I always encourage people, I encourage people, like in our donor base, we talk to our clients extremely respectfully, but I say, we don't want them to miss their miracle. You don't know what God, the universe, life, whatever you want to call it, is about to do through your mess. And as far as saying, oh, well, she was raped or sexually assaulted or something horrible happened, we are women, we are strong, and we can do really hard things. And trauma and violence layered upon more trauma and violence does not beget healing. It will never beget healing, ever. We see thousands of women year in, year out in our abortion recovery programs that will tell you that exact same thing. And I will tell you from experience working from these centers, I have had countless people come in and thank us that we helped them realize the value of the life growing inside of them, that there was a hope, that there was a future, that there was a purpose and a plan, even when they could not see it and they could not feel it and they didn't know how it was going to end or how they were going to do it. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy. That's a rough road. Sometimes we make decisions that are real hard to untangle from. And there are people that are hard to untangle from and situations that are hard to untangle from. But I will tell you, I've never had anyone walk in my door and say, I'm mad at you that I kept this kid. It just doesn't happen. But I see hundreds, if not thousands of women a year impacted by our abortion recovery programs that said their abortion really was something they regret. And if they don't regret it, because not everyone does, that it didn't cause deep emotional, physical, spiritual trauma on top of the trauma of the abortion. And I would encourage anyone who just kind of thinks conceptually about abortion, you need to watch one. Well, you need to watch several. You need to see what happens in a first trimester abortion at multiple stages, at 6 weeks, at 9 weeks, at 12 weeks. Do you still stand for abortion? Did you watch it? Did you watch it? Have you talked to someone who's had it? Because the other thing that happens is there's also called abortion relief. Right after you've had the abortion for several days, weeks, maybe even months, you do feel relief. But there will come a point in time where that trauma sneaks up on you and comes to get you. It comes after you. Secondly, I would say, have you watched a second trimester abortion? Have you seen a baby be dismembered? Did you know they put a needle inside their heart and they give them a massive heart attack in the womb? Or they cut off the nutrients from the placenta and starve the baby to death and deliver it. Did you know legislation is trying to be passed to just deliver them alive? Like, not that poisoning them before you give birth to them is any better, but to just give birth to a live baby. And legislation is saying you don't need ultrasound, just order your pills online. It's going to be totally fine. Well, it's not going to be totally fine after a certain point. You're going to see a baby come out. And these women are experiencing this. And we have story after story after story here in Reno, Nevada, and Fernley of women going through this. Additionally, when you don't get a follow-up ultrasound, which when you're buying these abortion pills online in particular, or from Planned Parenthood on telemedicine, when you are not getting that follow-up ultrasound, you are highly susceptible to infection, sepsis, and death because fetal product is still retained in your uterus and you need a D&C to get that out. And that's not spin, that's not lies, that's medical science of what we're seeing as more and more people are getting abortions. And thirdly, I would say, have you watched a third trimester abortion? Have you seen it? Have you seen how they have to dismember the baby? Have you seen what they have to do to take apart the skull to remove the baby from the woman? It is not a peaceful, happy delivery. It is a barbaric procedure for mom and baby, and it lasts multiple days. It's not a one-day procedure many times.
All right. Let's see. Here's one last a question from this document I want to go over. It says,
Yeah.
no privacy. CPCs collect the same detailed personal medical information as a clinic, but are not required to keep it private like a doctor's office is. They reserve the right to reveal or sell personal info for morally compelling reasons.
Yeah, that's also just a lie. I laugh because it's just not true. All of our systems that we use are HIPAA compliant. I actually just had to go through all of this, even through our Google scheduling, calendars, emails. I just changed all of our text lines. We are now Google HIPAA compliant, and our data entry system that we use is also HIPAA compliant. So they are not wrong. We are not actually legally required to be HIPAA compliant, but many centers like ours choose to be above board because of organizations like Planned Parenthood. And you know what's funny? We actually take our cues from Planned Parenthood. We noticed their form online
Hmm.
wasn't secure at all. And then over the last month or so, they changed it. And now it's through a third party form builder. And our marketing agency said, well, you know what? Planned Parenthood's doing it. We're going to do it. So we changed our form builder online on our website. I'm not kidding you. This cost me $36 a month now to have to do, in addition to, all my other expenses, overhead expenses. But they said, okay, this is what Planned Parenthood's doing. Their form wasn't HIPAA compliant. They're going through a third party. We need to do the same thing. So we just watch what they do and we do it. So even my form on my website right now is HIPAA compliant. So again, just a bold faced lie. And I think any pregnancy center, we all use very similar systems. There's only a couple of them. So, I mean, and they're all HIPAA compliant. So no, we aren't required to be, but the likelihood that your center is very high.
Mhm. And then one last thing before we wrap this up. You touched on this a little bit before, but can you talk about the like the dangers, like medically and mentally about what the abortion pill can do to a woman?
Yeah, the abortion pill in particular is a really sneaky, scary one. It's being marketed as just an easy, quick fix to end a pregnancy. And there's really a lot of research that women need to do also, the difference between emergency contraception and the abortion pill, because we see a lot of women getting those two things confused. Like they're actually taking the emergency contraception, which is not meant to be used after 5 days post sex. Like it's just not. And trying to abort their babies that way. P.S. It doesn't work. It's not enough hormones to get the baby out of you, anyways. And then the abortion pill, which they will tell you and has a disclaimer, not to be used 70 days past your last menstrual period. But few, if any, are actually tracking when women are taking it. Few, if any, are ultrasounding the women to actually date their pregnancy. So what we see in our centers all the time is that a woman will come in, she'll think she's 5 weeks along. We ultrasound her. I mean, we ask, you want an ultrasound? She gets one. She's 14 weeks. All right. Had that woman not come to see us, thought she was 5 weeks along, thought she was in the clear to take this pill, and tried to take this pill and deliver a actually 14-week-old baby in her own home. Super dangerous, and super traumatic, because for me, I've never had an abortion personally, but I have miscarried twice, and I miscarried once at home and I miscarried once through a D&C procedure at a hospital, which is very similar to a first trimester surgical aspiration abortion, where they suck everything out of your uterus, all the contents of your uterus out. Even having a miscarriage at home, the amount of blood, the amount of clotting, it's really scary and traumatic. And I wasn't even making a choice to terminate my pregnancy. My body was doing naturally what it was supposed to do to end a pregnancy that was no longer viable. So a lot of these women are suffering in silence. They are ordering these pills unsupported online, losing massive amounts of blood at home, tissue, clotting, and then depending on how far along they are, seeing parts of a baby come out. And again, just unsupported and unmedically supervised. Again, you have to only imagine what happens when your cervix isn't fully dilated, or even dilated, let's say halfway, and you're trying to pass a 14-week-old baby or a 20-week-old baby. We're seeing a black market trade of these drugs because of abortion legislation across the country, which is a really scary prescription drug trade that's happening across our borders from Mexico, with well-meaning women trying to assist other women in their abortions, which is pretty scary. So there's just a trauma, and whether, again, you realize it in the moment or you realize it years down the road, you've ended a life. And you're going to eventually start to think about that. And you're going to eventually start to have feelings about that. And so anyways, our biggest thing is too, as I alluded to before, is especially with the chemical abortions, with the pills, if the abortion is not complete, there is serious risk for infection, infertility, sepsis, and death. And I think as these pills are more legal, more common, and continually touted as safe as Tylenol. I mean, the marketing is just absolutely egregious what they are saying about these pills. We're gonna see an increase in maternal deaths because if you're not getting checked to make sure everything's okay, it's really scary. These are very real problems that are going to overwhelm our healthcare system with women thinking it's no big deal to take these pills.
Mm-hmm. And these are being sold over the counter right now, like at CVS's, Walgreens, Rite Aid. And
Yeah,
I
not
doubt
all.
that.
It depends on your state, your county, where you're at. But here locally, yeah, you can get them. And the prescription online is very easy. I mean, it's a simple questionnaire. They're going to ask you questions, and as long as you answer them correctly, or have documentation that looks correct about your age or things like that, you'll be able to get them. The other scary thing is, there's a lot of legislation being passed about even not even having parental consent. So your daughter could be, you know, having this very emotional experience, very physically traumatic experience, in her bathroom, and you would have no idea. So again, the isolation, the feelings of loneliness, we know there's a mental health epidemic. Like, these things do not promote healthy situations. And even if a woman is going to choose abortion, we still want to, we want to always be the place you come first, because we're going to give you the information. And even if you choose abortion, your client advocate's going to follow up with you the next day and see how are you.
Mm-hmm.
And a new service we're going to start offering at our centers, I am so excited to announce. It's brand new. It's going to be happening in the next couple of months. Is post-abortion, those post-abortion ultrasounds. And so we will be able to help that woman, bring her in, scan her uterus, make sure everything is clear. If it's not, we'll be able to refer her to, say, okay, you need to go back to, you need to make an appointment immediately with your OB for a DNC, or you need to go to the ER and get this taken care of, depending on what kind of healthcare coverage she does or doesn't have. We typically serve pretty underserved individuals in our community, and hopefully help avert health crises that she might be facing. We can also at that point in time pour into her and say, hey, we've got these abortion recovery programs that are both faith-based and secular-based. We have both kinds, to help you process all the feels you're feeling right now about what just happened to you. And truly what we want to see happen, nobody wants an abortion. Nobody wants to use abortion as birth control. There is no woman that wants to go through any of these procedures. No one wants her life interrupted this way. But the problem is we have a society with mental health issues, broken families, broken women, broken people. And until we heal the wounds that caused them to get in this situation in the first place, they're going to keep having abortions. 50% of abortions are repeat abortions. And again, no woman wants to have an abortion. No mom with 3 kids wants to think about aborting her 4th kid. She knows exactly what she's doing. Nobody wants to do this. So it's really important that we get to the heart of the matter. So for our centers, we're really leaning into our abortion recovery programs so that women learn how to not get in this situation again. And the solution isn't contraception. The solution is heart healing, different life choices, knowing your worth, waiting for sex until you're in a relationship with someone who is committed and cares about you and isn't, and especially for the young people, hookup culture is so destructive. It's so destructive. And as you're hooking up with that guy or girl, is this someone you would want to have as your baby daddy or your baby mommy? Like, that's a real question, because contraception fails all the time. Our own good judgment fails all the time. And then what happens? A human life is created, and we have to decide what we're going to do with it. Mentally, morally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. What are we going to do now? As you're staring in the face of the person you thought, hey, we were just going to have sex and I wasn't going to talk to her again, and that's it. So I think we have to raise up a generation of young people that understand that hookup culture is toxic. It creates a mental unwellness. It's not your best choice. And so that's, we really try to care holistically for our patients, for our clients, and address the heart and the soul issues, as well as the physical physical issues and the crises that they feel like, a lot of times the problem isn't the problem. The baby isn't the problem. There's a different problem underneath.
Yeah.
So, yeah, especially as you talk to your cohorts, your friends at school, like that hookup culture it really plays into it, because the abortion pill, it's not an easy fix. It doesn't make a problem disappear. It creates more.
Mhm. Yeah, and I do see a lot of sources online saying that crisis pregnancy centers aren't effective in what they're doing. That
Mhm.
the percentage of people who come in not sure on what they're going to do, or who have already decided that they're going to do an abortion, that get their mind changed, it's a small percentage. But even with those sources that I see, the actual statistics that they cite over the years, that number of people who have their mind changed is going up. And on other
Yeah.
sources with statistics, as time is going on, since 1990, the number of abortions per year, even though they're still insane, they've been coming down. And
Yeah.
even though I did some math and saw that, like, with compared to the amount of Gen Z living in America now to the amount of Gen Z that's been aborted, that's like 30% of my generation, which is
Correct. You're about 20 to 30, 25 to 30%, depending on the study, of your generation has been aborted. And we also see it rampant in minority communities and communities of color. And what's really sad is that those are communities in particular that say they don't have a voice, they're underrepresented, they're oppressed. They've killed the generations before them that could have helped them rise up. I mean,
Mhm.
they've like done their own population control a lot of times, if you look at the numbers. And that is the evil behind Planned Parenthood. At the end of the day, if you do the research on where Planned Parenthood came from, it's from a eugenicist. It's population control. And the roots are scary, but no one's going to tell that story. And Cole, I will tell you, I have looked at those statistics too, because I've been, when I make my marketing materials and stuff, I want to send things to donors and say, oh, 87% of people change their mind, and decide to choose life when they come to our centers and receive our services. All I can say is, we do track those numbers, and they track much higher than those averages you're going to see online. But there is something funny about those statistics. I'm like, they can't possibly be right, because they do not reflect my experience in our three centers whatsoever. We see when women get educated and empowered and resourced, their lives change. And when their hearts get healing in our recovery programs, and we also have a reproductive loss program as well, and a post birth mom recovery program as well. When I say we're holistic, we take care of everyone, no matter what they choose. You choose adoption, we take care of you. Choose parenting, we take care of you. You choose abortion, we take care of you. So I think those statistics, I know the ones you're talking about, and they absolutely do not align. So I'm like, those are some funny numbers. I don't know where they're pulling those from. That's just so not representative. I will also say, because people always say with pregnancy centers, oh, you go in there, you're going to go in there, they're going to lie to you, and they're going to coerce you, and they're going to shame you into keeping a child you do not want. Right? That's what they say about us, right? So I'm telling you, we used evidence-based information. We're respectful, truthful. We show as much or little as they want to know about procedures, and we don't do it in a scary way. We just talk her through it so she knows what to expect. And I can tell you with full confidence, I cannot force anyone to do anything they don't want to do.
Mhm.
You can't. It's not possible. It's not possible for me to shame someone or twist someone's arm so hard. And that's not what our counselors do at our client advocates do at our centers. And I will say, I used to be the admin at our centers years ago, before I was the executive director. And I would enter in every survey that these women would give us. So we'd finish we'd finish our intake, we'd finish our appointment. Our client advocate steps out of the room. She gives them a survey to fill out to make, how are we doing? How do we do today? And can I tell you, probably well above 90%, probably 95% say we do an excellent job.
Hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. They're not feeling coerced, disrespected, judged. I mean, we are here to help, not to judge. So, and I mean, when you look at things like our Google reviews or something, you can totally see when people are like, I mean, we get people all the time that leave them, and I'm like, you weren't even a client. We've never even seen you. And they're like, HIPAA, you can't say that. And I'm like, I'm not bound by HIPAA. I can. I'm like, we haven't seen you. I used a different name on Facebook. I'm like, okay, whatever. Sherry Johnson. Like, I don't know what your name is, but like, we've never seen you. So just stop talking. And I always say, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, I feel like you can get behind the work that are done at these centers, especially the ones here in Reno, because we truly walk the journey no matter what choice you make. There's no judgment, there's no shame. We just want to see healing. We want to see you make an educated decision. And for some women, abortion is that educated decision that they say, you know what, this is still what I want to do. You know what, their client advocate's still going to call them the day after the appointment and say, how are you, sweetie? Are you okay? How are you doing? Can you want to come in? You want to talk about it? We don't walk away from them.
Mhm.
And then now we can offer them a post-abortion ultrasound. Hey, can we scan you to make sure you're not going to get sepsis and die from your procedure? It's not funny, but like it's nice to be able to offer, like, to truly be able to refute the claims, the lies, and say, no, we really offer actual care for these women. What do you do besides collect, $600 to $2,000? Do you know abortions at the surgical clinic, how they're priced? By the
Um,
circumference of the baby's head. By the
oh,
circumference of the baby's head.
I didn't know that.
So the further along you are, the bigger the circumference of the baby's head is, the more your abortion is going to cost. That's how they do their ultrasound, and that's how you're priced.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's before they, do all their stuff. So, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick business to profit off a woman's crisis. I also, in closing, like I've talked about hookup culture, I've talked about abortion pill. I want to talk about one other thing, preterm delivery. So a lot of people like to push on the pro-life movement, or we call ourselves pro-love. I mean, we want you to be a whole happy person no matter what choice you're making. We I believe that abortion is not a path to freedom. I believe it because I've sat here with women and I've seen the destruction it causes to their health, their physical, emotional, and spiritual health. But people will like to use the argument, well, what if the mom's life is in danger? What if this baby is not going to survive outside the womb? Isn't it like the kind thing to do to, kill them prematurely? No. And I will say, and a lot of laws are around that, right? People are going, oh my gosh, well, if they pass these laws that restrict abortion after you can find a heartbeat, let's say, um, women are going to die. We're going to die. They're not going to be able to deliver their babies. Or they're not going to be able to get these abortions that they need for healthcare. And that is the biggest lie of all, truly, because there is a fundamental difference between a preterm delivery to save the life of a mother. A preterm delivery is different than an abortion. Never would I advocate for a law that said we can't do a preterm delivery, because sometimes, you know what, you need to. And sometimes the mom could die, and that does, they have to make this gut-wrenching choice of, like, me or my baby. And you give that baby palliative care when it comes out. You're not going to stab it in the heart and give it a massive heart attack and then dismember it and then pull it out. You're going to actually deliver that baby at however many weeks it is. If there's any fighting chance for that kiddo, they'll go into the NICU and get care. Maybe they'll survive. One of my best friends here, her name is Angela Baker, her daughter's name is Naomi Joy. She was born weighing ounces at 25 weeks. Angela was told by multiple top doctors in the country she needed to abort because her and her baby would die. And Angela stood firm and said, we are going to have blood pressure monitor at home. That's not my job to decide when this baby, lives or dies. I'm not going to do that with her. And there came a point in time where they said, all right, your blood pressure is too high. You got to deliver her. And they delivered her at 25 weeks. Naomi is 7. She's 7 now. She's in first grade. She's one of my kids' best friends. She is a walking miracle, living, breathing walking miracle. She has some pulmonary issues, but that's it. And she is the sassiest 7-year-old girl I've ever met in my entire life. And yes, they had a long haul in the NICU, and it was scary, and it was touch and go, and it was really crazy. But her story has been featured on the Epoch Times. They are personal friends with Lila Rose. Their stories have been featured across the world in newspapers across the world. Naomi Joy Baker with 2 Ks. And she was delivered right here at Renown and kept alive by the Renown NICU here in Reno. So Reno, I think there's hope, because we have some crazy, amazing stories coming out of there. And so, I just always want to dispel the lie of, like, there is a very big difference between delivering a baby early because the life of the mom is in jeopardy versus killing a baby intentionally because the life of the mom is in jeopardy.
All right, I think Zoom's probably about to kick me off because I
All
don't have the
right.
money for a bonus. But thank you so much, Niku. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate this.
Of
Um,
course.
and hopefully this will get me a good grade.
I hope so too. You deserve an A++. And I'm happy to help you anytime. And I'm so proud of you for standing up for life and truth and the facts, man. You know, the cool thing is God and science are on our side. They just are. So you can speak boldly about life because no one's going to be able to argue around you. There's just no way. There's no way, no question. I didn't even know what you were going to ask me today. And I'm like, oh, boom, I know the answer to that. Boom, I know the answer to that. There's just the truth is on your side. So just rest in that and you're gonna do awesome. You're a cool kid.
Thank you.
Young man. Young man. You're not a kid, you're a university student. All right. Tell your mom and dad I said hi.
I will. Thank you. I'll see you on
All
Sunday.
right. Bye. I'll see you Sunday.